This is Robin Drew, Electric Boogaloo, E3 coverage 2015. Cue that musicless intro. And we're back. My name is Rob Webb, aka William Robert Webb III, aka Tetsuo Man, aka Tetsuo the Great, aka William Robert Webb III, aka Rob Webb. Well, I've said my name a lot of times, so who cares? And this is...
You have a lot of names, sir.
I do. I do.
This is Drew Muller, aka Andrew Muller. I'm his friend. This is our first ever E3 that we have been doing. Follow me on Twitter if you feel so inclined, Andrew T. Muller. I'm on Facebook as well. I'm friends with him, so if you're friends with him, go through his list and add me. Just be sure to tell me who you are so I can add you and not delete you. My Facebook name is Andrew Thomas Muller, so there you go. So, Rob, what are we doing today?
We are going to be talking about E3 and starting off with Nintendo.
Yes. And on that note, tastes like 1998. Sorry, I had to get that cheap plug in there. So, what are your thoughts on the whole Nintendo's E3 right now?
I thought they announced some good titles, but as kind of Reggie Fils-Aime, even he kind of said this, like, yeah, like we could have done better in presenting.
Yeah,
you know, they basically were like...
But at least Nintendo was smart with their presentation. They didn't blow millions of dollars like, say, EA did or Microsoft did.
Or, you know, where it's like, we're basically doing a commercial for Ford, you know?
Yeah, and we'll get to that later, but I thought Nintendo's press conference, if you even want to call it that, I thought it was really good for E3. I mean, they brought back the Nintendo World Championships, which was pretty cool.
That's true. That was a cool thing.
And I think the winner of that actually got to face Reggie in Smash Brothers, and the kid just demolished Reggie. And kid, I really don't know his real age, but he said, "Wow, Reggie, for a guy that runs Nintendo, you sure do suck at Smash Brothers." And Reggie, being the cool guy, he doesn't say anything. I would have been like, "Well, I actually run a company. You just play Smash Brothers for 10 hours a day." But Reggie's cool like that, so he didn't say anything. I was shocked he did not receive a championship belt. I know some other YouTubers were mentioning that. Yell Chaos, for one, he mentioned on the 8-Bit podcast that the winner should have gotten a championship belt. Not to say that the trophy didn't look cool, but a championship belt would have been more appropriate in that situation. But now let's get on
to the actual games.
Yeah, to the actual games. I am actually really excited, and since it's the first one on the docket here, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm scrolling through an article here. So, Star Fox Zero got announced. The gameplay was shown, and I'm excited. I'm a massive Star Fox fan. Been a huge fan of it ever since Super Nintendo. Played Super Nintendo game to death. Played the paint off of Nintendo 64 title. It just seems that ever since the Nintendo 64 title, we have gotten nothing.
Well, it's been basically farming out to second party companies as opposed to first party. Yeah,
because Adventure, that was supposed to be Dinosaur Planet. I don't consider that a real Star Fox game. Star Fox Assault, Namco developed it, and you'd think that Namco, the guys behind Ace Combat of all people, of all things, they would be able to get a good flying game out of it, and they tried their best, but it was still nothing. It was really cool, the gameplay of it, because it was just flying. Now, hopefully, in the actual finished product, we'll get some Landmaster stages. Hopefully, we'll get a couple Blue Marine stages as well, because that's a underrated vehicle. I know a lot of people didn't like the Blue Marine stages in Star Fox 64, but I really liked them. So long as we stay the heck away from on-foot missions, we should be golden. So that's all I got to say about Star Fox. I'm really excited. And
I don't have any opinion because I've never been like the only Star Fox game I think I've ever played was 64.
Oh, well,
so I don't have the like personal attachment to the series that say you.
Well, I've got the original SNES game if you ever want to borrow it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
I just don't know where my SNES is. No. So. But like
Well, when you find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit me up. It's a good game.
I actually have the tabs ripped out so I can play
Japanese.
Japanese.
Play
Japanese.
Super Famicom.
Yeah, Super Famicom.
That's the way to do it, ladies and gentlemen.
And I actually used scissors to.
Oh yeah.
And then I did it with my own bare hands.
There you go, because you're a manly man. All right, so 2 Zelda games got announced, both for the 3DS. Not Star Wars. I'm sorry, folks. I was
the Star Wars Legend of Zelda crossover. You knew it was gonna happen.
Yes.
No.
I wish. So the Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes was announced for 3DS. It looked cool. I think it was only going to have like 3 players, which that makes sense. Triforce. Yeah. It'll be another Zelda game to add to my collection, which I'm way behind on the handheld stuff. I basically have every console game. I just haven't been able to scoop up the handheld games. So that's fun. Hyrule Warriors Legends coming to 3DS. I've got the Hyrule Warriors game on Wii U.
So do I.
It's fun.
It is.
It's fun for a little bit, but it's kind of hard to hold my interest because Dynasty Warrior Syndrome, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun for a weekend, but then afterwards...
I've been meaning to go back just so that I can play those, the special map ones.
Oh, yeah.
Because I actually paid the DLC for it, so I was like, I'm like, the Majora's Mask one, that is hard.
Oh, yeah. I haven't played that one, but I've heard
really
people
hard.
say it is just throat-stompingly hard.
It is.
You were excited, as am I, about the Xenoblade.
Yes,
Xenoblade X.
Yeah, because I've been playing the first game that the re-release that they did for the 3DS. I actually got a new 3DS just so I could play this, and I've been really enjoying the first game, and it's got some of the best 3D effect of any game on the 3DS so far. Even though it's a 30 frames per second, I still think it looks beautiful. It's really fun to play. The battle system sometimes it gets annoying.
I agree,
but
it is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
It's just really weird because, like I said, I'm old school. I like action RPGs, so it plays like an action RPG. Except whenever you're moving around, you're automatically attacking. I'm like, I'm not pressing any buttons.
I know that's what's so weird about it, is it's like tries to make its own kind of battle system that's completely different from either turn style or action style. It just
it is what it
is. And in certain instances where it's like, I would be I was like, if I could do this, I wouldn't have gotten killed, but. Yeah. Besides that, it's a really good game, and I'm looking forward to the sequel.
Yeah. And I've had Xenoblade Chronicles ever since it got released here in the United States back in 2000. I want to say 2011, 2012, back when Operation Rainfall was going on. It was the first of the 3 Operation Rainfall games I got it the day it came out, and probably one of the best video game purchases I've ever made because I only paid $50 for it, and now if you want a Wii copy of Xenoblade Chronicles, you're going to be paying upwards up to $90, $100, possibly even more. So I lucked out on that. Still
cheaper than what I did because I had to.
I can take yours on the go. That's the
that is the great thing. It's just I already had a 3DS, and then it was like, I was thinking originally was like, okay, maybe it's just because they have the little stick thing. So if I get one of the what is that
the Circle Pad Pro.
Circle Pad Pro.
Yeah.
Because I knew that people could use the Circle Pad Pro for
Monster Hunter
and
Smash Bros.
And Majora's Mask.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it could play fine. Find out that Xenoblade. Good. I'm trying. Got some horse in my throat. Xenoblade Chronicles can only play on the new 3DS because it utilizes the new CPU.
Yeah.
That's in, which is probably why it looks so good, is because of that.
It looks better than the Wii version, that's for sure.
It's got to be that new CPU that they've put in the new ones that are more beefed up. So it's like if you try to put this in your regular 3DS, it won't play.
It won't go.
It's unlike Majora's Mask or Monster Hunter, where all you need is a Circle Pad Pro to play one of those. So I just was like, crap.
It kind of makes me mad though because I got my 3DS a couple years ago for Christmas. The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds Special Edition. I got that, and as soon as I got that, a couple months later, new 3DS is coming out. I'm like, dang it, I should have waited.
I got mine. When did Smash Bros. For the 3DS come out? Last fall.
Yeah, last fall.
That was when I went down and was like, okay, I'll finally get a 3DS because I've been wanting one since it had been announced, and I just didn't have the money at the time. And then I was like, I had the money. And part of it was also because my brother had gotten a 3DS first because he wanted to play... it was either X or Y, and we decided to get the opposite because it was funny. Like, for a very short burst, he was back into playing handheld stuff, and he was playing Pokemon and whatever was the new Super Mario Brothers 3DS game that was on there.
Yeah, new Super Mario. Oh, I forget.
Yeah, whatever.
New Super Mario 3DS.
Whatever convoluted name they gave it, and so I was like, okay, cool.
And other than Xenoblade, there are a couple more things that we want to highlight here.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem, that's coming out for people who enjoy Fire Emblem. Yeah. Because I know there are a lot of people that do.
My interest when it comes to Fire Emblem is going to be the crossover with Atlas.
Oh yeah, because I think it's like, what is it? Persona meets a crossover with.
Well, the reason that people aren't so happy about it is it's because it's from the original Shin Megami Tensei series as opposed to the Persona series.
Okay.
So it's the original series that Persona's a spinoff. So it's, as we just showed, regular original Shin Megami Tensei, versus Fire Emblem. But I don't think they talked them at all about that one at E3. But that is one I'm kind of interested in because I'm a fan of both Persona and the Shin Megami Tensei series, and I've even read you probably didn't know they're based on a series of novels, or like the very first game's based on a novel. And I've read a translation of it, and it's really it's some messed up stuff.
It's way out in left field, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I should send you a link. It's
please do. I'd love to read it. So
the sad thing is the person who was translating them, because there's 3 books, but they didn't take anything from the second or third book. But the third book's incompleted translate because this person did it almost 9 years ago.
Oh.
But anyway, let's get back to Nintendo.
Yeah. And so there are a couple more things that we want to highlight here. Yoshi's Woolly World. Basically, it's a game in the same vein as Kirby's Epic Yarn that came out several years ago. Kirby's Epic Yarn was awesome. So if this game is anything like Kirby's Epic Yarn, it's going to be a great seller. Moving on.
Yeah.
Mario Tennis Ultra Smash is launching this holiday season for Wii U. It's Mario Tennis. I like Mario Tennis. I like Mario sports games, so I will definitely keep that on my watch list. There's a new Mario and Luigi Paper Jam announced for 3DS.
So
I don't really know a whole lot about this one. Hopefully, it's paper. I don't know if it's an RPG or
if it's or if somehow origami or
but Paper Mario, it's awesome what Nintendo can do with that series. So it's gonna be awesome if anything else. And finally, last but not least, Fatal Frame. I believe it's Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater. That's coming to the Wii U, and I'm really excited. I love the Fatal Frame series. I have all 3 of them, or I have 3 of the 4 that North America got on PSN, and I'm playing through the second one right now. First game was awesome. Second one is flat out amazing. It's considered the magnum opus of the series. We never got the 4th game over here. I'm still kind of irritated about that, but I'm just glad that we are finally getting the 5th game officially, and it is amazing what anyone will be able to do with this. I think there was a spin-off for the 3DS. I don't know if it's out here in America.
I'm not sure either.
But there was kind of a Fatal Frame spin-off where you use the camera of the 3DS and you actually ghost hunt in your own house. And I would love it if they could somehow manage to do that with this thing, and that way you could just scare the living crap out of you in your own house.
Well, I was, thinking that they need to, do a Pokemon Snap with the Wii U, and I don't know if the sensor, they could...
Probably. It might be. They might be able to work around it. Yeah. And before we get too far off topic, didn't you say that there was going to be, or someone out there should make like a stand?
Oh yeah, what I was saying earlier before we were doing the video is that I think that functionality with the Wii U, particularly its controller, would be a lot better if they had some kind of stand for it, because so that you can see both screens at the same time. That's one of the biggest complaints I think most people have, and I also think that developers are that's why they basically gave up on it when so many of the same developers were cool when the DS came out. Were cool, we can do this, and I think that's one of the major flaws of the Wii U. And I say that as somebody who has stock in Nintendo. So, and on top of that, keep that with a grain of salt. Anything I gotta say about Nintendo, but yeah, somebody should do a Kickstarter to...
Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Patreon, one of those crowdfunding websites.
I don't know how you could do it with Patreon, because that's a monthly thing, but yeah, Indiegogo or Kickstarter would.
Yeah, definitely. So someone get on that. I would definitely contribute to that. And speaking
of Kickstarters,
moving on to
Sony and Sega, with the fact that Sony has announced that they will be publisher for Shenmue 3 and that they are looking at what the interest is by having a Kickstarter campaign, and it must have been, because they got a couple of million in the first 24 hours.
Oh yeah, it was fully funded. Now they're just making stretch goals. I don't have the information up here in front of me, but they brought Yu Suzuki, one of my all-time favorite people in video games. I mean, the guy behind such classics as Virtua Racing,
Virtua Fighter,
my all-time favorite fighting game series. Just, if you were around during the 90s, like we both were, and you thought Sega, not only did you think of Sonic, but you thought of Yu Suzuki and what he could do with his gaming hardware. And the guy's a legend. And
Shenmue was such a great game. I was one of the few people who probably played it when it came out. And... because I had a Dreamcast, and it by far was the best, probably the best. And it's really funny because this comes from a conversation I think we had a year or two ago, where I was wishing that Shenmue 1 and 2 got an HD remaster. And you were like, that's probably not going to happen.
I did say that it's probably not going to happen, but they did mention, I don't know if it's going to be the first two games, but I think they're going to have a prologue of at least.
Basically what they'll do is because I know they when they released the second game for the Xbox, there was a second disc that had basically all the cutscenes and put together so that you could follow the storyline. And it'll be probably like that. It's kind of the legacy of this game is sort of so odd because it jumps from... is on the Dreamcast, and the second game was also on the Dreamcast. It just, they never translated and brought it to the United States. And then they released a port of it for the original Xbox. And now it's Sony who's going to be publishing the third game. So it's an interesting kind of...
I still need to play... I've got Shenmue 2. I haven't played the first one yet, so I need to borrow it from my friend Anthony. If you watch this, I need to borrow it, please. So basically, Shenmue 3 looks like it's finally going to become a reality. Many Sega fans rejoiced, so I'm happy for you guys. I just thought it would never come.
The only thing was it was a bit backhanded because they kind of made it at the E3 conference this is the only way, if you got to go to Kickstarter, which is kind of
it's sad, really.
It's a backhanded kind of thing, because what it looked like was that they were probably going to go through with it. Really, unless the Kickstarter just really was, not that successful. I could maybe, but it wasn't hey, if they only barely got their gold, you knew this thing was going to get made. It's not they were just kind of manipulating the fans a bit. I don't like that. And yet at the same time, this is the kind of bigger kind of production that I'm okay with Kickstarter. But I also have very mixed feelings about video games being made via Kickstarter anyway, just because they're made so differently from movies or comic books in that they don't have fixed budgets.
No.
They don't have fixed budgets, and you can see that's why some of the Kickstarters that have had some of the worst things happen is because there isn't a fixed budget, like with Goddess, the Peter Molyneux game, that basically has now been essentially like they've abandoned it basically.
Yeah, and there are also other instances where
and look at Broken Age, where they could only get with the amount they got way more than they asked for,
and they still couldn't make a product.
They could only make half the game, and then the second game they tried to make off the profits, and from what I hear, wasn't that great in comparison.
And I mean, there are other stories that games just not reaching their goal. Shadows of the Eternals, I weep for you. I'm a big Eternal Darkness fanboy, so that crushed my spirit whenever I saw that.
Well, we'll discuss a little bit more after the commercial break. Okay, and we're back from the commercial, and we were talking about Kickstarters a bit, and probably try and get a little bit out from there and back to Sony's press conference. But
we've said our piece on Shenmue 3, so you're gonna get it, and hopefully it will be the closure that you need.
But like I was saying, I have mixed feelings about video games being used for Kickstarter, as in comparison to, say, films or comics, because of the fact that there's that elasticity to budgets in video games that films and comics just don't have.
Exactly.
Especially comics, because like comics, you know how much you're gonna print. The only time somebody screws up on a comic book Kickstarter is when they don't factor in the mailing cost. Usually, that's the only thing. So you're not gonna have that, and
all those different factors.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Sony.
So the next game that I want to touch on, No Man's Sky. It looks really interesting. I was kind of salivating whenever I saw this because it reminds me of Wing Commander from way back in the day. It seems to be like a return to form of the spaceship simulation. I almost said space shooter, which I guess it could be as well. Yeah. But it just looks really kind of like an ode to Wing Commander. And then you can go down to a planet, and you can get out of your ship, you can walk around. So I'm very anxious to see what the final product is going to be with that game. Do you have any thoughts on No Man's Sky? Yeah.
Not really.
Not really, okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I love you.
Well, I mean, it's just that's not a genre I'm big on, like I said, with Star Fox.
Yeah, I understand. It's not for everybody, but it looks really cool. Hopefully, it'll be like you'll be able to like colonize your own planet, or join an armada, or go on smuggling runs, or maybe you can defend the galaxy if you're a goody two shoes. There's a lot of stuff that could come out of this, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed with this. Street Fighter V going to be exclusive for, and I use that term loosely,
because it's exclusive console-wise, but it will have a PC release.
Yeah, so it's going to be exclusively on consoles for PS4, but you can also get it on PC as well. I don't really have a whole lot to say about Street Fighter V because it looks like more Street Fighter, and if you know Capcom, there's going to be a super ultra rare gold edition arcade style.
There'll be like 10 different editions released by next year.
yeah. I mean, if you don't believe me, may I bring your attention back to Street Fighter 4 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So my advice to you is
yeah.
just wait it out, because you know there's going to be an update sooner rather than later.
They like milking those franchises.
Because it's all they have. I mean, Capcom has really screwed the pooch in the last several years, and it makes me sad.
At least they're not Konami.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Konami.
I have a whole video that I will put a link in the description below.
Please do, because I gotta see this. Alright, so we've touched on No Man's Sky, we've touched on Street Fighter 4, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Who cares? I am so done with Assassin's Creed. They have just done their very best to kill this franchise.
Well,
Ubisoft
particularly is the latest ones functioning at all? Has the patch fixed it at all? Because I know that it was.
I don't know.
It was broken as hell.
Oh yeah, passing through solid matter. It just. Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
I don't know if Unity got the. I don't know if they've patched Unity or not. I would hope.
Well,
that they would.
They've been doing patches for Unity. It's just that I keep hearing, that they patch it, they try and fix it, and then it creates. And it's like. That's the problem. That's the problem now, that we've got to reach this date, and then part of that is put because of the pre-order kind of culture that we're in right
just
now.
Ship it out broken and we'll patch it later. I mean, that's unfortunately it's a reality of the times.
As opposed to pushing the date back so that it works.
Yeah. So. Basically, I know Assassin's Creed, it's not really a Sony exclusive. It's more of a Ubisoft thing. But I just wanted to... It has PS4 exclusive content. I couldn't care less. I jumped ship right after that god-awful experience that was Assassin's Creed 3. I said to myself, never again. And I am very glad that I don't play Assassin's Creed anymore. And not last but not least, second to last, Star Wars Battlefront Missions co-op gameplay shown on Sony stage. Again, I think this is going to be multi-platform at some point, because it would be really stupid if EA just released it for PS4 and not Xbox One.
It's the new exclusivity is time release exclusivity. We'll have it first. We're not going to tell you for how long. So
several months.
Yeah,
that's usually the ballpark.
or a year.
Or a year, yeah. But so I'm excited for the new Battlefront. I don't think I'll be picking it up the first day. I think I'm just going to wait for it to drop. But I like Battlefront, so I like the first two. And last but not least, the game I am most excited for, as is most people, Final Fantasy VII is finally getting that remake that we have all been clamoring and begging and pleading on our knees.
Didn't they do... Wasn't it like in 2010, like they did a... demo?
That was 2006. That was the PlayStation 3 launch. That was 2006, and they did the Final Fantasy.
9 years.
Yeah,
and then they're finally getting around to it.
Yeah, they're finally doing it.
Yeah.
I think Square Enix just got tired of fanboys like me wanting to just.
Supposedly, what they said was they want the original people involved, and they're going like, well, we're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing, is it's like we want the original guys who were involved. They're at least still at Square, because a lot of people left Square.
2004.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago, there was like this mass exodus, and new people came in. But Nomura, Tetsuya Nomura, or I think that's how you pronounce his name, the head Final Fantasy guy. He was saying that he's not wanting this to be a straight one-to-one port of Final Fantasy VII, only with prettier graphics. And I don't want that either. I want a complete reimagining. He's saying that it may not be turn-based combat, which I know that rubs a couple people the wrong way. I don't mind it, because I like playing Tales. I'm a big Tales fan. I playing Kingdom Hearts, which, oh, by the way, that got announced too, but that's a different subject at hand. So it could be reimagining for Final Fantasy VII, which I'm excited for. Hopefully they'll get some good voice actors. And just fix everything that was broken in Final Fantasy VII, namely the script. So no more "this guy are sick" moments. And I am just completely excited. I mean, my copy of Final Fantasy VII, Rob, you can attest to this, it was signed by Nobuo Uematsu. I was dressed up in my Cloud cosplay as well.
We will cut to...
Yes.
We will cut to your copy so that these people do not think you are lying.
No. So that's basically it. I'm excited. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be released holiday 2015, so holiday of this year for...
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be released this year, so I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm not, because I've never been a 7 fanboy. I've been an 8, and I know that is heresy.
No,
that is heresy
really.
of the highest order, at least according to...
Go ahead.
According to Spoonie.
Yeah.
According to Spoonie, that is heresy.
I know. Like you're gonna watch.
Oh
this.
Man.
Anyway.
And then there's a new Hitman coming out.
Yep.
Which right in time for the rebooted movie. Did you know that?
I didn't hear about this. I heard rumors that they were going to make it.
They're filming it. They're filming it right now. It's going to be Michael Fassbender. Mm-hmm. And they have the original screenwriter from the first movies writing the script. Why would you do this? Why would you do this?
Why?
Anyway,
why would you do
we
this?
we'll be back after this commercial break with coverage on Microsoft. And we're back, and we're pretty much at the end of this shindig with Microsoft, which will have a little bit PC related stuff too. So I think that's probably, since that's all together, that's a good way to end.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft, I know a lot of people, it's the cool thing to do is to dump on Microsoft, dump on the Xbox One, but I was actually fairly impressed with Microsoft's E3 conference this year. They announced some really cool games, which I will get into. Halo 5, that's coming out. I believe it's this year or maybe next year. Sorry, my memory's a little shot. I have slept since E3. So Halo 5, that's going to come out for people who are interested. I've played all the Halo games. I've got the Halo Master Chief Collection and all of its broken, laggy glory. But I think I'll give this one a shot. I may not pick it up day one, but I've always been a moderate Halo fan, so I'll be playing this sooner rather than later. Gears of War 4 announced, so that's going to be a fun game. I haven't played Gears of War since 2 came out, and I know that they are remaking Gears of War, the first Gears of War, and it's going to be up-res, it's going to have 1080, and I believe 30 to 60 frames a second. I want to say 60 frames a second. So it'll be fun to relive that game as well. Tom Clancy's The Division. I'm a big Tom Clancy fan, so I'm really excited about this one. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay. That's okay, man.
Yeah. So I want you to chime in on this too.
Well, like, my big thing is the fact that they decided not to do what they did last year, which was pretty much do half of the presentation of it's a multimedia thing.
Yeah.
This is,
sports, TV, sports.
The fact that you get that's not what's going to sell you guys systems.
Yeah.
The games are. Don't try and force this.
There was no Kinect. Thank God. No Kinect. The Vita got more coverage than the Kinect. Think about that for a second.
And that's a thing that was required on the thing.
Yeah, at first it was, but thankfully
and
Microsoft
then they after
lesson.
a couple of months they were like, oh crap.
Yeah, not this. So basically no Kinect, thank God. They had Forza 6. I'm a big racing game fan, and I was really surprised at how they did this. Is that they lowered a Ford GT down from the ceiling, like a cage from WWE. Like whenever they lower down the cage,
or as Total Biscuit put it, like Cirque du Soleil.
Yes, exactly.
Cirque du Soleil.
And they were bragging about how Forza 6 was going to be, 1080p, 60 frames per second.
Which is
that's cool.
That's a big. It's arguably a big deal for a console, company to be like those specific specs being like this is what we want as our minimal thing. Particularly since a lot of games, like I'll harp on this, the Wii U for the most part has been able to get those kinds of specs, whereas the PS4 and the Xbox One
have not been able to do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are going to complain, and rightfully so, that Forza 6 looks a lot like Forza 5, and that those complaints have merit. And what I really didn't like about Forza 5 is that there were a lot of cars hidden behind DLC paywalls, which that was no es bueno for me. But I haven't gotten Forza 5 yet. I have Forza 1 through 4. So it's just one of those games I haven't gotten around to playing yet because I need another steering wheel, and I probably need to make some room because, Rob, you can attest to this. It's kind of cramped here.
It is. It is.
So, big announcement for Xbox is that it's going to be backwards compatible this holiday season. Sort of. Yeah, there's going to be, as of right now, there are 11 games that are going to be backwards compatible for the Xbox One. And later on, I believe Microsoft wants to have 100 games backwards compatible by the holiday season. And this is after they roll out Windows 10 for Xbox One.
Because this isn't like when they updated the 360. What this is that you put in the game, and it's not reading the game. What it does is it then goes to the Xbox Live Arcade, store, and on there will be a download, and it just means that if you do have prior to the game, you'll be able to download it for free, but it won't be the Xbox 360 version. It will be basically a port of the Xbox 360 version ported to the Xbox One.
Correct.
Which is an interesting kind of way, especially since they were teasing this idea that if you were buying older used games, that you would have to pay a license, and this is a complete flip on that.
Which is good.
I think it's very good. It's very good for consumers. I think it's showing Microsoft in the right direction. The sad thing is, it's not getting a lot of really coverage because it's kind of too little, too late.
Too little, too late. But hey, at least you can actually have the option to play your old 360 games on Xbox One, as opposed to Sony, which you have to go in and you actually have to use their stupid, idiotic PlayStation Now feature for. You can rent them for unbelievably pound me in the ass prices. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So I think Microsoft definitely has a leg up in Sony in that regard. So other than it being backwards compatible, the biggest announcement for me personally for Microsoft is that Rare is going to be releasing their Rareware pack. So it's 30 classic games for $30. So we're talking classics such as Conker's Bad Fur Day, Blast Corps, one of my personal favorites, Perfect Dark, just a bunch. Battletoads is going to be in there, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of ZX Spectrum games. I didn't get a complete rundown of the games, but some of them have never been on console, so it's going to be very important. So I am really excited for this.
I'm really interested in how they're going to do it, since they're games from so many different consoles, from the 64 to the NES to the original Xbox. How they're going to, because it's not like when you're trying to port just all things from one specific console. So that's kind of an interesting undertaking, and particularly with that many titles. It's just kind of interesting.
Yep. So other than all that, I mean, that's pretty much all we have for the Microsoft press conference, other than maybe working with Valve on VR, the HoloLens.
Yeah. Well, I think those are two separate things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Valve had announced earlier this year their own thing, and I guess Microsoft is like, well, since the HoloLens is a completely different thing, we'll just go with Valve. But, from what I heard, it was like some weird ass backwards way to have Valve's VR thing work was, I don't know. It's like, for some reason, Microsoft just does these weird things. Like, if you want to stream on your computer, you gotta like hook your Xbox One up to it, and then you'll be playing Xbox One games on your computer, and then you can stream that, and it's kind of like
it's very complicated and unnecessary.
And something similar to that is what they're doing with VR.
Oh, and one more thing about Rare, they actually announced a new IP called Sea of Thieves, a pirate-themed multiplayer game.
Oh,
basically what Assassin's
first
Creed...
person.
Yeah, first person. Basically what Assassin's Creed Black Flag should have been. So that will be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
And plus, who hasn't wanted the pirate on their own pirate ship?
That's cool. And I think that pretty much like covers everything now. My name is Rob Webb, aka William Robert Webb III, aka Tetsuo Man, aka Tetsuo the Great, aka blah blah blah. And
this is Drew Muller, aka Lord of Ice 72 on YouTube, Andrew T. Muller on Twitter, Andrew Thomas Muller on Facebook. Friend me, follow me, do all that fun stuff if you are so inclined. Yes, I know this is shameless plugging, but I don't care. And Rob, this is you and I doing our sign off.
End.